All right, we're now streaming live. Hey, welcome to the 1 o'clock hour in Ward Wrestling Live. We're here again, another amazing day, and we have a amazing world champ, three-time Olympian, Olympic silver medal, world bronze medal, 10-time USA senior national champ, a USA Hall of Famer, three-time junior national in high school, first Dream Team All-American from high school, three-time state champ in high school. And there's many more. I could go down the list, but he's here with us today, a Greco and wrestling legend, Coach Dennis Hall. How are you, sir? Welcome. Thank you so much for coming on my show. I'm completely honored. I'm like a big kid.
Thanks. I appreciate you having me on. Hopefully we can get through some good topics and have fun doing it. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so first, obviously, the life situation we're going through right now, this has never happened before. We're not used to this, but what have you been doing with your kids and kind of keeping them trained or at least focused on when they get out of this?
Yeah, I just, you know what, I'm a person that, you know what, I got to live my life, and I'm teaching my kids that as we speak. One of my sons came to my wrestling camp with me. We had 15 other kids on Sunday. I did a temperature check first day of camp. Everybody was good, and we all stayed in my building, and it went great. I just, with the situation that's going on right now, it's tough, man. It's different. I have a senior in high school that didn't get to have his graduation yet. I feel bad for a lot of the athletes that play sports and missed out on their senior year season. So I'm just hoping sooner than later, that we get back to normal.
Yeah, I mean, also especially the NCAA kids, right?
Oh man, I'd have been irate. I haven't worked at Ohio State and been in their room quite a bit. It tore my heart out for Colin Moore and Luke Pletcher. Those guys are great guys. They busted their tail for how many years in a college room plus previous years. And, when I heard it, I just, I'm like, hey, they better be able to get that year back. If I was an athlete, a senior like those guys that never won a national title, I'd be not begging the NCAA, demanding the NCAA give me another year so I could go win that national title.
Yeah, and talking to some coaches around the country, and I had a few on earlier this week with App State and Virginia and up in Oregon State and so on and so forth. The Pitt guys and
yeah.
Campbell, and they all were heartbroken when they had to tell their kids, it's not that it's easier to tell the undergrads, but it's easier to tell the undergrad than the seniors that this was their last shot, and that was the part that kind of broke their hearts. And I agree. Well, you had a tremendous high school youth career, and then you went off to college. But before we get into kind of the questions I have for you, I know that you have something you've started that's close to your heart called The Truth of Wrestling on Facebook. And
Yeah.
you wanted to get that out there, and please feel free after this to post the link in my page, post it in my group, the live exchange, and feel free to discuss it. But tell us why you started that and why you're so passionate about it.
I started the Truth of Wrestling page just because I see wrestling's being taught wrong pretty much everywhere in the United States and even throughout the world. And I want coaches to understand the physics of the sport. And, it all comes down, wrestling on our feet, it all comes down to your stance and controlling your own center of gravity. If I'm not controlling my center of gravity and I'm tied up with somebody, I can't feel what he's doing as well, because my brain is telling me, hey, you're out of position, you're vulnerable. So, I'm trying to bring things to coaches to help them be better coaches and the athletes so they see the sport differently. And, I kind of labeled some of my camps this summer Truth to Wrestling camps because I want to show people and I want to get them to think outside the box and be able to coach themselves, and not rely on one technique, rely on, position. And when you look at all the great wrestlers, they all had great position. They weren't out of their stance a ton. They understood the feel part. They understood pressure release and things like that. So I'm just trying to bring it to light. I read a paper by Alexander Karelin, the monster, and he did a paper on counterattacks. It was in Russian. I have a kid that, not my own kid, a guy I train. He loves Greco. He's going to be a beast someday. He's he's tough as heck, but he translated the paper for me, and I gave him about 50 other articles after reading the paper because it had about 200 articles that Karelin got all his information from. So now he's going back and going after the other pieces of the puzzle that I want. And in Karelin's paper, it was on counterattacks. He was talking about certain positions and drills that the Russians do, that the Russians train. And I want to try and find out. I reached out to Dr. Kirby out of Chicago, and I asked him to try and get me in contact with Karelin because I want to pick Karelin's brain and maybe we can collaborate on some stuff. And I'm just all about learning and making the sport better.
Awesome. Well, that's a good place to do it. And obviously, we know so everyone's on social media, at least most people. So we'll do that. We'll get that out there. And so you got out of high school and you went over to the University of Wisconsin, and you're there, but it wasn't really your thing at the time, and you had some bigger dreams. So you decided to kind of leave to pursue those dreams. Obviously, your dreams were accomplished. Being older now and looking back, would you do it the same way, or would you have stayed and competed?
If I stayed and competed, it might have changed my future, or it would have changed my future. There's no doubt about it. Maybe I wrestle freestyle. I don't know, but it was a tough decision for me at the time because when I signed, before I got to college, I had Dave Schultz, Andy Ryan, and John Azevedo as my coaches. I get to Madison my freshman year after signing, and I'm in there for some summer stuff or summer orientation. And my roommate, Keith Davison, he was an All-American for the Badge a few times. He tells me, "Hey, did you hear Azevedo?" Because we were going to be roommates. He goes, "Did you hear Azevedo and Schultz left?" And in Wisconsin, they kept that pretty much closed down. They didn't talk about that. So I didn't know. So my freshman year, Andy Ryan was the head coach, and then a guy by the name of Steve Bucky and Brad Lloyd were the assistants. I worked out. Brad Lloyd helped me out the most, but I just didn't feel like I was able to progress in the room like I could have if I would have had Schultz and Azevedo in the room too. So after my freshman year, I made my first world team, and I petitioned the NCAA. I'm talking senior level world team, not a junior world or whatever, universities. It was a senior world team. And that summer I made that team going into my sophomore year, and I petitioned the NCAA for a semester off so I could go compete at the Worlds and the World Cup. And the NCAA said, no, if it's a university age group, you can go wrestle, but not at the seniors. I'm like, does that make any sense? Are you guys stupid? Yeah. And it just made my decision a lot easier. And I talked to a lot of people. I asked people, I said, what would you guys do if you were in my situation? They go, you can always go back to college, man. Yep. And they said, follow your heart. What does your heart tell you to do? And my heart told me to, hit the road and train Greco and try and win a world or Olympic medal.
Hey, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
So before we get into some your Olympic stuff, I know that you have the World Gold Wrestling Club that you do a lot of camps, clinics, clubs, lessons. Talk about your club and your camps and anything else you want to talk about.
Yeah, I run a kids club. I start with beginners, kids that haven't even wrestled before. So I have the patience, but after practice with those guys, you need to get the next group that comes in that knows a little bit more. So I run 4 sessions most of the time. The kids are great. Just got a new facility. We got 2 full mats, showers. We got a lounge area with it. It was an old Knights of Columbus building. It has a bar in it, and everybody's trying to get me. And the parents are like, "Hey, man, now we can drink." I'm like, "Nah, we can't do that." But we got TV monitors so the parents can watch in the room. Got a great setup, locker room, 50 lockers, showers. So I'm utilizing that facility for my camps and clubs. And my schedule is September all the way through May. I'm running club, and then I shut down club during the summer because I'm busy on the road. This summer's a little bit different. I wish I would have set something up for summer because the camps, there's not a ton of camps. I usually travel some for camps too, but this year I think most of them are going to be right in my building.
Well, yeah, obviously I think everybody who is a club owner and a camp owner and puts them on is probably in your same shoes. Some people have opened back up and they're doing the camp and they're going to have a bunch of kids there, and good for them, and I wish them well. But yeah, a lot of people are scared. So
Yeah,
right.
it's good. In Wisconsin this weekend, this whole week, they had some stuff down in Wisconsin Dells. They had a tournament. I think it was 250 was a max per day of participants. But so we're getting tournaments running back in Wisconsin right now. Dave Dean from New Way, I believe, is running it. So it's going good so far.
Good. That's good to hear, because hopefully that creates a effect around the nation, right?
Yeah, I agree. I'm afraid that the high school season is going to be a tough one for the coaches and for kids. I'm just hoping we get back and we just get back to normal.
Yeah, you and I both. So I know that you obviously had a huge World and Olympic and a USA experience. Talk about your Olympic experiences. You went to 3 of them. Some of your favorite moments, and kind of what wrestling has kind of meant to you and what you were able to see because of it.
Yeah, no, I 1992 was my first Olympics, Barcelona, Spain. My parents are just regular parents. They didn't have a ton of money. I wasn't going to have anybody go to the Olympics, but my coach, Tom Menkel, got a sponsorship where he got so many tickets at 2 for parents. I was one of the guys because I didn't know how to fundraise. I didn't know any of that stuff. I'm 21 or 22, I think, but so my parents were able to come over and watch me compete. That was huge because it was like a thank you for all the work that they did. I mean, they had an awesome time, awesome hotel, went on tours, and just did a ton of fun stuff. So that was cool. But 92, I remember being in the opening ceremonies, and we're on the field. The wrestlers are kind of hanging out by as a group, and I'm sitting close to John Smith, and he goes, and at that point I really didn't know. I mean, I knew who John was, of course, because you see him in every magazine, but I didn't think he knew who I was, and I'm sitting on we're both sitting on the turf or whatever of the field, we're just hanging out while the guys are talking. And he goes, "Hey, Dennis," he goes, "are you nervous?" I go, "No, I'm not." He goes, "Just wait." He goes, "You're going to get nervous." And I'm thinking, okay, but John was an idol, man. This guy was a stud and still is. But just having him talk to me and know who I was awesome, since he was a guy I looked up to too. Well, about an hour later, I realized what he was talking about. When the guy lit the torch, the whole crowd erupted. And right then, man, I broke out in a cold sweat, and I'm like, holy shit. I'm in the biggest sporting event in the world. And that's when I realized people from around the world were just going to see me compete, and I didn't want to get embarrassed.
And that's cool. I mean, it's got to be an amazing feeling. And does the feeling get any better as you compete in several Olympics? Or was that moment of the lighting of the torch just memorable?
That was awesome. That was huge, for me. Just being on the field with all the best athletes throughout the world. Doesn't matter the sport, man. I mean, you'd walk in at a cafeteria and you'd see guys that had won medals, that having their medals. I mean, they'd get back from the ceremony, come in with their medals, and it was cool. It was like, another interesting thing from the '92 Olympics. I remember this. After you make an Olympic team, you go to the White House when you get back. And they invite all the athletes. And I remember going to the White House, and I remember watching all these guys with medals around their neck. I placed 8th place in '92. And I remember saying, I'm going to come back here with the medal next time. I'm sitting in, I believe it was a chair that Lincoln brought in at the White House. And I'm sitting in that chair and I'm just watching all these guys go back. And I felt like a failure because I didn't win, and I right at that moment, I said, I'm going to do whatever the hell I got to do to get back here and get one of these things and have it here next time. So that was kind of the turning point, Yeah,
because 96, the Olympics are in Atlanta, right? So they're home.
Yeah, it was awesome.
A few things kind of happened there in Atlanta that year, but
Yep.
Everything worked out. Everybody was safe, and the Olympics took place. And man, so silver medal. Talk about the experience going through there, and just how focused were you to make sure that you got to that match?
It starts out 5 minutes before my first match. Actually, I'll tell a story. I weigh in sucked. It was, but weighed in, came back. We were staying at the Red Roof Inn because my ex-wife was 8.5 months pregnant. So I was at the hotel with her, and coaches knock on my door because I didn't know. We didn't have track wrestling back then that told you what the hell who you had, So I'm sitting in my hotel, and my coaches come in and they go, "Dennis, do you know who you got tomorrow?" I said, "No, I don't care." They go, "You might care." They go, "You got Iraglu." Iraglu was picked to take second that year. I was picked to win it. Melnichenko, I think, was picked to take third. And I got him first round. And I said, "Okay, you better be ready to lose tomorrow." So next morning I wake up, I'm warming up with Kevin Brackett. We did a hard warm up, and then about 5 minutes before I'm getting ready to come out of the tunnel, we're drilling. He does an arm drag on me, a rib on my back, on the spine on the back where it connects, pops. And I immediately stopped warming up, but my chiropractor wasn't right around me, so I couldn't get it popped in quick. I went out, wrestled my first match with the rib popped out of my back. And I broke him mentally. He couldn't do anything. I beat him 3-0. Second match of the tournament, I'm wrestling a guy from China, Korea, I believe. And the Korean, the referee's putting me down. I think he put me down 3 times in that match. And I on a third time, he tries gut wrenching me. I step over and I'm just holding him on his back until the ref confirms it. I get done with the match. I jump up. There was a cool picture that a guy sent me where it seems like I'm 5 feet off the ground, and you can see him just laying on a mat with his head down. But the crowd is what I'll remember most, because it was so loud, and those guys, every time I got tired, they'd pick up the chant, and it was one of the most electrifying places I've ever wrestled. And then in the semifinals, I had a guy from China. He was a 3-time Olympic bronze medalist in the semis, and I shut him down 1-0. And that put me in the finals, the biggest match of my life, or one of them. And I remember, going out there, and I get cautioned first. Melnichenko gets on top. The previous year, I beat him in the World Finals. And Melnichenko gets me up in there and lifts me and throws me. And, for all our viewers, the match is on YouTube. I hate saying it because I lost, but you can watch the match, but make sure you watch till the end of the match, till it's all over. That's all I'm going to say. That way you guys do some homework. You'll see what I'm talking about. But I lost the match, and he's waving them the Kazakhstan flag. He's their first Olympic champ, because when they just broke up as countries, were able to wrestle for their own countries. And it was a bittersweet moment. I wanted to rip his head off and, kill him, but I couldn't, because I'd get caught, because too many cameras. Just kidding. But being on the award stand and getting my silver medal, it was disappointing, man. I'm not going to lie. I didn't train for a silver medal. I ended up with it. When I got done, I could have cared less if somebody just came up and took it at that moment in my life, because it's not what I shot for. But now looking back 20 some years later, it's a pretty damn cool object,
Yeah. And it was probably still too, right?
Yeah. You realize, things happen for a reason. And, my cards weren't to be an Olympic champion, but you know what? At least I got a medal from it. So it was pretty cool. Great experience in Atlanta. The thing I remember most is the fans. And, I had two teammates went out with McAfee won a silver, and Brandon Paulson won a silver that year too. And Brendan and I were training partners up to that point. It was cool.
Breaking up a little bit.
Oh, I just said, yeah, I'm here.
Oh, cool.
Can
Yeah,
you hear me?
I think you mentioned something about Paulson.
Yeah, I just said it was pretty cool. Brandon Paulson was my training partner for the previous 4 years. So it was neat that we were both able to win a silver that year.
Yes, Bill Crum posted on the comments. First, he said, one of the toughest and most focused wrestlers I've known. And then he put Dennis versus Brandon Paulson for the 2004 Olympic team is the best match I've ever watched.
YouTube match, and that good story if you want to hear.
You're breaking up, Coach.
Can you hear me now or no?
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to. Okay, I'll move back because my connection is kind of spotty, but I got it on Wi-Fi. So, but the '04 match with Paulson in the Olympic trials. I won the first match, best 2 out of 3. He won the second match. He headlocked me in that second match. That headlock came from nowhere. And he tied my club to his neck and he just ripped my arm off. And when I hit the mat with my head, I got my whole neck locked up. And so he wins that match. That puts us in a third and final deciding match. And the amazing thing, you know, I had my brother-in-law who was a chiropractor. He was down there. I went up right after a match because after I lost my second match, the third match was going to be about 30 minutes later. So I told him, come to us. Like, I can't get down there. I don't have credentials. I said, stand behind me. We're walking through the gate. If I have to throw the guard down the gate, I'll throw him down the gate. You're coming down and you're cracking me. And so he adjusted me. I got my motion back in my neck and went out for that third and final match. And it was a crazy match. I believe he scored first with the gut wrench. Then I scored with the 3-point throw. And then he scored with an escape. So it was 3-3. They put us in overtime. And this is the crazy part, because I didn't realize this till years. I mean, just probably 3-4 years ago. That match, I don't believe ever should have went into overtime.
In your favor or his?
I had a 3-point throw. He had a 2-point throw or 2-point gut wrench and a 1-point. In freestyle and Greco, as long as I can remember, the highest point is the criteria. So, I mean, I'm not saying if I might be a little better these days, you know, if I had lost it. But anyway, we go 3 minutes of overtime. And after overtime, they tell us all criteria is exactly the same. We got to go unlimited overtime. So right at that moment, like I told you, Paulson and I used to train together. And I remember doing grind matches with Brandon where we go an hour and a half and there might be 3 scores total in that hour and a half. So I set my mental alarm for an hour. I said, okay, just hold position. Don't do anything stupid. Grind them out. Just wear them out till he gives you a takedown. And a lot of action in that match, in that overtime. Finally, at 16 minutes and 54 seconds, I had a 2-on-1. I got this hip. I end up taking him down out of bounds and got the winning point. And it was crazy. It got up. I ran over to my corner. I kind of clotheslined Terry Brands, knocked him off the stage. And then you see me stumble and I come back up on the stage. And, you know, I go hug the cameraman. I don't know why the hell I did that, but it was pretty funny, you know, and when you watch the video. And then I go over to Paulson, and at that time, Brandon, I see him just crying, you know, bummed. And I'm like, shit, that could have been me. So I walk over to Brandon and I just said, man, I'm sorry. I had to cut down. I felt it's my best opportunity to win a gold medal. I said, I love you. I said, yeah, you got nothing to be ashamed of. I said, we gave every fan in this arena what they came to watch. And I told them I loved them. And, you know, that was hard, man, because it very easily could have been me.
Yeah, understandably. And I mean, I had, I think the other questions I had, you kind of put all into that conversation. So you spoke about some great memorable moments, your rivalries. I know that you did have one. I did ask, I don't know if I asked, you spoke about your rivalry with Paulson, but a big rivalry you had was with Grunwald as well.
Yeah.
Are you guys all friends now, or are you still?
Yeah, we're friends. We're friends. I mean, off the mat, we're pretty good. So I talked to Jim, or, you know, we Facebook messaged a little while ago. So it's good. You know, we're just trying to help the sport out. And, you know, once you get done on the mat, we were dicks. I'm not gonna lie. And I tell my kids, I said, on the mat, you got to turn into a different animal, and off the mat, you know what, treat everybody the way you want to be treated. And so, but with Jim, we wrestled in the high school state finals my junior year, his senior year. I ended up winning that match. We wrestled in the junior national finals that year. I ended up beating him then. And then once he came down to my weight, because he was wrestling at 136.5 pounds, and he dropped weights. And, I controlled the weight for a while through kind of 99. And then in 2000, he nipped me at the trials. And then 2001, I mean, we at nationals, I beat him. Then I beat him one match at the trials, and he beat me 2 matches. And for some reason, I just couldn't get my head out of my rear end, and it's tough when you're on top I was on every world team or Olympic team, 92 to 99. And make a long story, in 2003, I lost to Glenn Naraka, I believe. And, in the nationals, and ended up third in 2003. And I'm like, what the hell? So I ended up deciding, I'm like, okay, I think I can get down to 121 pounds. It's only 4.5 pounds different than what I wrestled at the Olympics. So I'm like, if I can get there, I'm going to be a monster. And so I made that decision in August of 2003 that I was going to cut down to 121 pounds in 2004. I didn't tell anybody really, because I didn't want people knowing. So I made that cut down, and that's how I ended up at Paulson's weight, because the weight class for, I think, the Greco was like 130 at that time too, for the Olympics. So it kept changing the 125.5 pound weight class, which sucked. But
That's awesome, man. And I'm sure you got some really good stories. We could probably talk for hours.
yeah, it's one thing yesterday at camp, I was watching Mike Foy and Mike Houck wrestle, 2 warriors, man. They're Olympic trials matches from 1988. You gotta watch them. A lot of the way I wrestle was because of Mike Houck. Mike was their first world champion. He was a great coach, and Mike Foy and him wrestling. Now, you want to see some highlights? Watch those matches. It was the kids were like, holy cow, man. They were impressed with those matches. So maybe we got some more Greco-Roman wrestlers from watching those matches at camp.
Yeah, I had Betterman on, Coach Betterman on.
Yeah, Joe's a good dude too.
And then I had Nate Angle a couple of days ago, and I know they obviously Betterman. We know what kind of Greco wrestler he was.
Yep.
And I got Bill Crum just said he went to Cuba as a ref with you.
Yep. Yeah, I like Bill. Bill's a good guy. I see a lot of his stuff on Facebook. Hope he's doing great these days.
Yeah, I had him on yesterday. He spoke a little bit.
Nice. That's good. Hopefully he didn't tell how crazy I am.
She's trying to send me a link from Team USA, but it denies me access because I'm not part of Team USA.
No.
Access denied. But all right. Well, you ready for my 10 questions?
Yep, I'm ready.
All right. Beer brats or Wisconsin sausage?
Beer brats.
A live rumble or a clinic?
Rumble.
All right. This is what it's called in Wisconsin, so don't get upset with me. They say it's called peeing chicken or Cornish pasties.
Pasties.
Flow or track?
I'm going to say this right now. It's got to be track, the guy that I'm doing, that I run my club out of, he used to own track wrestling. But the other reason is Flo doesn't give Greco any love, so got to go with track.
There you go. Cheese curds or beer cheese soup?
Cheese curds.
Land O'Lakes or Oshkosh?
Land O'Lakes.
Kringles or cream puffs?
Cream puffs, of course.
All right. The Brewers, the Bucks, or the Pack?
I go with the Brewers.
All right. The Harley Davidson Museum or the Circus Museum?
Harley for sure.
All right. And frozen custard or honeybee pudding?
Frozen custard.
I guess I should have been like Wisconsin beer or the rest of the country.
Exactly.
It's kind of, yeah, so something fun I do at the end.
Oh, thanks.
Hey, Coach Hall, thank you so much.
Thank
It's an
you.
honor to meet you and to get to talk with you. And God bless everything you've done in life and everything you're doing now for the youth and wrestling. And I hope one day I get to meet you. And I really appreciate it. Anybody that you feel like you want to invite on my show, please feel free. You can send the link I sent you, or I can send you the link, and I welcome anyone who wants to come on.
No, that would be great. There's a lot of good guys that, I'd like to, try and get Greco-Roman bigger in the United States. I think people just don't understand the sport. And that's kind of frustrating when overseas Greco is bigger than freestyle. And people can argue with me, but just look at numbers and look at countries that do it. So, if we can do plugs for Greco every once in a while, have those guys on. Nate Angle was great guy to have on. He's coaching at college, but he's also coaching at junior worlds and university worlds age level. So he's promoted as good as he can. If we can get more people to help out and create more Greco athletes, we could be like a freestyle country. So
please share my link and my information with all your Greco guys. When I jump off, I'll private message you my cell phone. So
awesome.
We can keep
Sounds good.
And,
of course.
And, man, thank you, and go USA, right?
Exactly. Sounds good. Thanks for having me. Had fun.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.